into a conversation about whether or not the candidate should remain at the top of the ticket. So I think it's totally appropriate to have that conversation when you look at these polls. It also tells you that the fact is, if you buy these polls, that Democrats are actually doing pretty well, but it's the top of the ticket that isn't. I think that notion means that there are people who are Democrats who are not supporting Joe Biden. And that's what you can pull and glean from, and from this. And I think that's important. I think the people that make these decisions on the candidate should pay attention to this.
Yeah, and look, I'll close by saying it really does look like the plan or the super friends or whatever the strategy was to replace Joe Biden it doesn't look like it's going to work. We'll see. We'll report as developments happen. But as of right now, it doesn't look like there's going to be a new candidate. It looks like it's going to be the same candidate. That said, we're still going to give you the polls. I respect you enough as an audience to give you facts that might be inconvenient or might not be what you want to see. But I would also say that theoretically, if you do believe that November is likely to go in one way, well then maybe, despite the fact that it is a difficult Senate map for the Democrats, it seems like the last 5 have been.
Yeah, they always tend to be, right?
What are they always? Well, then in theory, maybe there will be divided government. We don't know for sure, but it is possible, and that would obviously limit to some extent the ability of a new president to radically change things or put literally anyone they want on the Supreme Court. If you don't want to see Justice Bongino or something, well then the Democrats maintaining a hold on the Senate would be something.
Yeah, and the Democrats need to articulate this to voters and with their candidates too. I mean, that's what one of the arguments. Joe Biden said he's going to listen. I don't agree with you that it's a done deal that Biden's going to be the candidate. I don't know if you think that's the case. I don't think anything has changed other than an appropriate timeout for conversation about the race after the opponent was the victim of an assassination attempt. So I honestly think that he will not be. I mean, that's my prediction, is that he will not be the
candidate. Is it 51% chance he isn't, or is it 80% chance he isn't?
I would say it's 56%. I'll go 56%. But I only say that because I don't fall for the fact that they've stopped this conversation. They stopped this conversation because they should have. It's respectful to stop it. If Democrats were focused only on their race, then that would have been in such poor taste after what happened Saturday. Give the Republicans their convention, give them their week. The Democrats are going to have theirs in August, and there's plenty of time. There's going to be an uncomfortable month between Friday, when this thing is over and everybody gets on planes, until the Democrats start their thing. It's going to be an uncomfortable month for the Democrats, but they're going to pay attention to a lot more of these polls. So I actually think that.
You have a lot more contacts amongst them than me. I will say
I do, but this is more gut stuff, and this is more tea leaf stuff. So.
I will say that it might be an uncomfortable month for a lot of Democrats once Friday hits. I will be immediately way more comfortable for a variety of reasons. But anyway, the week continues. Thank you everyone for joining us for the second day of our RNC coverage. Tomorrow is Big News Wednesday. I think biggest news Wednesday, considering all that will be going on. Sharon Reed will be joining us remotely, and we'll have all the latest. Thank you, Michael Shore, for taking time out.
Of course.
Thank you for now. Stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed, in for Dr. Richie. He has the day off. More on Dr. Richie a little bit later in the show. But let's introduce the Honorable Mayor of Bentonville, North Carolina. He is Mondale Robinson joining us once again. We need you today. Well, we need you all days, Mayor. But today, after day one, the Republican National Convention, and some of what was uttered there, and everything else that's going on in the world, boy, do we need you, Mayor. So thank you for stepping up. You're so busy, but you stepped up today and you said, you know what? I'm going to join Sharon as she fills in for Dr. Richie, and I salute you, and I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you so much.
So let's start there, if we can, Mayor, at the RNC convention. Were you surprised to see Amber Rose? It leaked earlier in the coming days leading up to the convention that she was going to be there. She would have a speaking role. She did speak. And then Joy Reid from MSNBC went in on Amber Rose over her RNC speech. First, let's show you what Amber said.
I'm here tonight to tell you, no matter your political background, that the best chance we have to give our babies a better life is to elect Donald Trump president of the United States. Now, you may be wondering why I'm up here telling you this. I'm no politician and I don't want to be, but I do care about the truth. And the truth is that the media has lied to us about Donald Trump. I know this because for a long time I believed those lies, so I'm here to set the record straight. The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse, and I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong. I let go of my fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of getting attacked by the left, and I put the red hat on too. The left told me to hate Trump, and even worse, to hate the other side, the people who support him. When you cut through the lies, you realize the truth. American families were better when Donald Trump was president.
So that threw me for a loop. I did watch it live. I quickly wanted to turn to reality television, 90 Day Fiancé, the other way. Anything to escape this. And by the way, can someone check on Miss Rose's father? We need to check on him. So like I said, I wanted to turn away, and I eventually did, but not before I listened to the reaction to Miss Rose. The CNN panelist had this to say.
This is how you change the composition of the electorate.
Yeah, that was probably the most dangerous speak for the Democratic coalition. That is a young woman of color. She's describing the experience a lot of people have, feeling that maybe if you're around too many liberals, you might get criticized too much, or you might not be able to speak your mind. And she spoke to it really well. And she's way more famous than any of us up here. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that, way more famous. And so to the extent that these guys are trying to bust up our coalition, that was a bunker buster right there.
By the way, and it's one of the things we've been talking about, but there are speakers who speak to the room, and there are speakers who speak through the television screen. She speaks through the camera to the audience at home, not, I mean, she's effective in the room, but when you're yelling into the room, that is not communicating directly through the lens.
This person is super talented. Yeah.
So the reaction to Miss Rose was even more jarring for me than her actual statements to the camera, okay? I'll give her that. People accuse me of not having eye contact because I'm constantly thinking, my eyes are darting all over the place. So she had great eye contact. It's just what came out of her mouth. And then to hear Anderson Cooper and company, boy, what a star. She does have a lot of followers. Good grief. Joy Reid, though, thank you, Joy. Joy Reid became the voice of reason. Listen,
the weekend. A member of Congress who was a Republican came out immediately and blamed the incident on DEI and said that the fact that there were women and Black people in the Secret Service is the reason this happened. That is a member of Congress who went out on the TV and said to the world that DEI was the cause of an assassination attempt. This is where the Republican Party is. So it's ironic that they were able to recruit this young woman who, she's a racially ambiguous. I don't want to say she's Black because she has said she's not. So I don't want to say this Black woman, this woman who is of whatever race that she has claimed. She said she's not Black. But they've brought somebody whose whole career is based in Black culture. She used to be on a show on BET. That's the reason most people know who she is. She dated one of the most prominent African-American rappers in the business in the history of hip-hop. So her whole culture came from Black culture, even though she says she's not a Black person herself. And the fact that she is now the person they're using to try to recruit young people of color and to say that this is the person who is the endorser of Donald Trump who you should trust. When she won't even claim the culture that brought her to the table, I'm dubious that this will work. I don't know anyone who takes their political cues from Amber Rose, but just in case you do, you might want to duplicate doing your own research because she might not have done it thoroughly.
It's that last part. I hate groupthink. I like independent, even provocative thinkers. That's not what we heard last night. And Joy Reid was spot on in sensing and knowing and articulating that you were built, you made a living off the culture. And now suddenly, don't label me that. What research where'd she get her info on? Truth Social? Rumble? Did she get it on Rumble? I hope she's the only one, I said to myself. She's not, okay? Amber Rose joins a gallery of others selling out. That's what it's called at the RNC.
So this November, let's select the braveheart of our time, Donald J. Trump.
That's something else me and President Trump have in common. The bad guys shot at us both, but they missed.
Under President Trump, we had the greatest economy in our lifetime. And in less than 4 years, under Joe Biden, everything changed. Under President Trump, there was hope. And we need that now more than ever.
Black people were sold on hope. Now our streets are rife with crime. Our kids can't read, and illegals are getting better help from Democrats in 4 days than we've gotten in 400 years.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris sent their kids to high-priced private schools. But since they are in the pocket of the far-left teachers' unions, they trap poor kids like me in failing schools.
I grew up in awe of that story because it's my dad's story. It's part of my story. He and my mother raised me, never telling me that this is a racist country. Never.
I know this is going to offend the liberal elites. Every time I say it, it offends them. But let me say it one more time. America is not a racist country.
Yeah, I heard a little bit earlier today, if you don't vote for Donald Trump, you ain't Black.
So that was apparently day one, night one of the Republican National Convention, Black Night, we'll call it, other than announcing J.D. Vance, who loves him, some Project 2025. This was Black Night. I could add in some other things, some other adjectives, but I won't. So I heard from the Black Republican from North Carolina, the one that said some people need killing, and then the one from Florida, the representative who said Jim Crow was great for the Black family, and we're supposed to listen to them. Mayor Mondale Robinson, from Amber Rose to Byron and Mark and anybody else who's preaching to us. And frankly, Amber Rose told some lies there, but perhaps that's what her research led her to believe. You and I don't believe, and I don't want to speak for you, Mayor, aren't saying that everybody has to believe the same thing. Everybody who looks the same has to believe the same thing. But we can't even get to that part where we're not a monolithic community until we tackle what was said, Mayor. Your turn.
Yeah, listen, can we say disaster on steroids?
Yeah.
And on steroids is absolutely what we watched. First of all, let's be clear. Amber Rose says she does not identify as Black. She's not Black, but she spent the entire time on stage being surprised that her Black dad supports white racist Donald Trump. Why were you surprised? The idea that people lied to you about Donald Trump came from where? Nobody had to lie to you about the fact that Donald Trump has more than 40 years of being racist documented. This is the man who said our first president can't be president or can't be American because he's Black. What else is the reason that you're asking for long-form birth certificate when no one has ever produced that? The idea that Amber Rose is even on this stage speaks to the idea that political processes on both parties lack intimate relationship with Black people and what moves us. This is a disgusting ploy to reach out to Black people thinking because she dated rappers that she could move Black people, probably Black men. The problem with people, though, is her audience, if she has any sway at all, is not Black men. Black men are not taking social cues or marching orders from Amber Rose, and no one in the Black community is, for that matter. She herself has said that she's not a part of our community. She literally fought someone for calling her Black on TV. The idea that this is motivating, it speaks to how disconnected CNN and its pundits are to our community. Van Jones sitting up there with his $100 million check from one of the richest men in the world.
Thank you.
His lovely white relationship with his wife speaks volumes at how disconnected he is from our community. I don't know what happened or when this happened to Van Jones, who is a North Carolina native, that he forgot what it means to be Black. Not in the sense that he's not Black himself, but the struggle and what actually moves our community. For those other guys, I'll keep it very simple. There's a long history of Black people showing up in a way, being aides, and also allies to white supremacy. And we saw all of that on full display at the Republican National Convention. These guys showed up in the spirit, not of Harriet Tubman, not of Frederick Douglass, not of Sojourner Truth, not of any Black freedom fighters. They showed up in the spirit of those who sided and snitched on Black rebellion during slavery. They showed up and snitched on Harriet Tubman, trying to sneak Black people away from the plantation. They showed up in the spirit of those who would infiltrate Black social justice organizations in the 60s, helping the FBI and CIA. And that's what we witnessed completely from every Black person on the stage. One of them, Wesley Hunt, said his ancestors would be extremely proud. His slave ancestors would be extremely proud that he's speaking at the Republican National Convention. And I want to know, how in the hell is that possible that ancestors who were enslaved by people who are still supporting the Confederate, which was a war fought to continue to hold us, would be proud of you standing there pretending that America does not and is not showing up as a racist nation?
Yeah. His ancestors would not be proud. They wouldn't even know about it. They'd be isolated in desperate conditions in slavery because he ran and snitched about the uprising they were planning for the next 24 hours. So they'd be dead soon. They'd be made examples of because of him. They would not be proud. That part we definitely know. So Van Jones, you raised mayor, and I have a thought. It's just an educated guess. I think that's like a hypothesis. He wants to keep his check now that CNN's under new leadership. So he's kind of inching on over and trying to pretend that, what it is isn't. CNN dismantles race and equality team amid DEI disbandments. You didn't think we'd notice? CNN has moved to dismantle its acclaimed race and equality team as DEI programs across the country have been eliminated. A world news leader. Here's a news flash for you. We see you, and we know what's going on. According to journalist Phil Lewis, the network disbanded the team of 3 reporters on Wednesday, July 10th, as Mark Thompson, CNN's chief executive, announced that the channel is laying off 100 employees. Thompson stated that the layoff would be a move to re-strategize and rethink the company's news gathering procedures, detailed as a one newsroom concept. Who's included in that one? Just asking for a friend. Deadline reports that CNN's One Newsroom strategy would merge both linear and digital news gathering into one. Vibe filling in the details for us. A CNN spokesperson speaking to Lewis denied that the race and equality team would be disbanded amid layoffs and instead would be fully and completely incorporated into CNN's future vision. You mean like they're doing now? Maybe they'll hire Amber Rose. Spokesperson insisted that the investment is still 100% there. Right. But the unnamed person did confirm that the team no longer existed as it initially began, adding, for all intents and purposes, the team is not a team anymore. Okay? They're assigned to different areas so that their perspective and work is brought into all of our types of programming. It's not a unit in the way it was before, but race and equality is very much still their focus. Maybe that's a typo. Maybe he meant race and inequality. Just a thought. One reporter from the race and equality team was laid off as part of the disbanding. The other two reporters will now be reworked into different roles throughout the CNN newsroom. CNN's award-winning team was first created in 2020 in the aftermath of police officers murdering George Floyd. Companies across various industries ramped up their DEI efforts as a response, with CNN using their race and equality team to cover America's racial reckoning, as detailed by the outlet. Apparently, CNN believes that equity and inclusion is kind of like Fashion Week. What was in last season is not in now, so we'll just move on. Only it's about certain people's very existence, very being. Fashion Week. Not in fashion anymore. That was last season. In related news, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, parent company of CNN, was asked about the presidential election. Zaslav told reporters that it was more important to him that the next president is business friendly rather than which candidate wins. That's per Bloomberg. We just need an opportunity for deregulation so companies can consolidate and do what we need to be even better, he said. Another typo, I suspect. He meant even richer, so that we can do what we need to do to be even richer and take care of the American worker, but not in the way you want to be taken care of. Less money, less regulation, less safety, and less diversity of thought in Mr. Zaslav's case. He's previously said that WBD-owned CNN needed to become a news network that presents both sides of every political issue rather than being a left-leaning advocacy network. Is race right or left? How about just truth? If he would have said, can we just have the truth, that probably would have been okay with me, but that's not what he said. There's not both sides of a racist. There's only a racist. And unfortunately, that's how they're covering someone. I think you know who. Last year, Zaslav defended CNN's decision to host a town hall with Donald Trump, saying that Trump, as the Republican frontrunner, has to be on our network. Wow. Let's go to June of last year. Warner Brothers Discovery laid off Karen Horn, a diversity, equity, and inclusion executive. She probably didn't have much to do there, hands tied. But you still got rid of her, huh? Just a symbol of her being there. Here's a look at a couple of DEI eliminations from around the country for context. Companies like Wayfair, Meta, Tesla, Lyft, Home Depot, DoorDash, X, Twitter, all made cuts to their DEI teams in late 2023, with more eliminations following in 2024. Washington Post reported in February. CNN reported in March that the U.S. House Office of Diversity and Inclusion, first created in 2020 to create a congressional workforce that reflected America's diversity, would be dissolved as a part of a government spending bill. So those companies I named, you know, you're buying things from them, you're getting deliveries from them, you're getting a lift from them. Just wanted to let you know what was going on with them. And now you know. Yeah. So a little bit more before I get to the mayor, just a little bit. Who are you, CNN? Well, you know, Mayor, let's start there. I think I've said plenty to turn it over to you. I'm disgusted because media, I believe, is the number one shaper of minds and misfires. The media tells little young children who they are, who they're supposed to be, who they're supposed to hate. That's what the media does. It is that important and sometimes that dangerous. Am I taking it too far?
No, not at all. Listen, we have to all be alarmed when we see a leader of a company like CNN say that they have to have Donald Trump on there. They need to put both sides on their network. What he's really telling us is journalism and the courage to be honest about journalism has died on that network. And it's more about viewership. And we see them actively working towards getting more Republican eyes on their network. It started with the debate when they refused to fact check anything Donald Trump said. We watched Joe Biden last night in an interview with Lester Holt called them out, not just Lester Holt, but this is the media at large. Why aren't you talking about the fact that this man told a lie every 1 minute and 17 seconds? CNN refused to check that. And then right after that, we watched them run media segment after media segment on show after show, breaking news every show that Joe Biden needs to drop out and that is a wall of support that is falling around him. This is painting a narrative to make sure that you have Republican eyes. You're no longer chasing facts like journalists should. You're now chasing eyes like donors and dollars are the most important thing to you. So what we see now is CNN stepping full-throated into the fact that the only thing that matters to them is no longer the news, it's the bottom line.
You're so right. It used to be in the old days, and it wasn't exactly my time. I'm not that old, but I studied media, Mayor. And I remember when Channel 2, WBBM in Chicago, hired Jerry Springer and said, let's go for ratings. Let's put Jerry Springer on the news. Carol Marine, I think it was Ron Majors, the star anchors in Chicago said, we're done. They walked away from their powerful, and in those days, multi-million-dollar contracts and said, this isn't journalism, we're done. And I like Jerry Springer, may he rest. But that's who the old journalists were. I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to go with the truth. Instead, some of the journalists I respect are delivering the line over at CNN because it's not about journalism. It's not about media. Fools like me care about media and the responsibility, the heavy weight. No, Mayor, it's about my check, my family, and my prominence. I want to be on the news. I want to be on the cables in prime time. That's honestly, Mayor, that's the way I feel about it. I'll give you one other tidbit. According to an April report from the National Review, the University of Texas at Austin is shutting down its DEI division. That move will demote DEI deans back to professors, with some DEI-oriented positions being, you guessed it, completely phased out. Fox News reported in May that along with the University of Texas, 158 colleges have moved to disband DEI programs. One professional told the outlet the reason for the anti-DEI crusades is due to a
fact that America has a history that is not checked, then it's no longer okay to be in our institutions. The fact that 158 colleges have went along this route means that Black kids at these colleges are no longer safe. What they do, it is already awkward enough to be a young Black child in predominantly white institutions. Now, without the protection of DEI or the office trying to force people to understand what it means to be Black in these spaces, what you have done is you've put Black people in a dangerous space. And I won't use the words that I will, or what I was gonna say, because of the climate we find ourselves in.
Yeah. You know, when Nixon was being investigated, just because I'm a history buff, and he didn't like where this Watergate thing that eventually kept him from the presidency, this Watergate investigation was going, he tried to pull out all the stops to get these networks, and there was only the big three, and probably the Washington Post under control. They were threatened, antitrust, a lot of things went down, but they kept applying the brakes. And that doesn't mean that there weren't people at these networks who say, hey, sure we know what we're doing here. But ultimately, we have to give them credit. They followed the journalism. They followed the journalism. That's not what we saw on CNN with that disastrous debate. You try looking over to your right and having a liar spit out lie after lie after lie after lie. The mayor calculated every minute or whatever it was. When his lips were moving, he was lying, okay? Grandma used to say that about teenagers. You try to keep your thoughts together when nobody's checking that, okay? You're wrestling a bear with bone spurs, and you're also taking rapid fire from two people who just put on nice clothes and sat there. Why did we need Dana Bash and Jake Tapper? Well, I could have had some interns, and I don't mean to disparage the interns. They could have just read questions off the internet and said, here on X, somebody wants this, Truth Social has this life, where you go. That's what they could have done. Why did you put on this whole production? We could have streamed it, and that would have been fine. Get it together, but let's not call it media. It's not media. It's not. It's not journalism. We'll move on to a Forbes article. Trump shooting will appeal to Black voters. And you want to get rid of DEI? Who the hell approved that headline? Who decided in the morning meeting that this was good? Let's run with that. The Blacks. Let's give you the details. Following public outcry, Forbes has taken down an article from its site entitled, "Will Surviving Gunfire Be Donald Trump's Next Appeal to Black Voters?" Written by self-proclaimed DEI expert Shaun Harper. Story was posted Saturday, July 13th, and was called out for its offensive nature. Got a lovely smile, though. That's where I got to stop. Got a great smile. In the piece, Harper stated that Black people in this country suffer from inexcusably high amounts of gun violence. He also noted that Trump has a history of using his indictment on several criminal charges and mugshot as a way to make racist assertions about how he connects with Black folks. And the Blacks, they love me because they know the terrifying sound of gunshots. Isn't that something Trump has actually said? Harper stated in the article. Hopefully he doesn't, but it isn't all that unthinkable. Okay, the Root giving us more details. In addition, Harper also drew a shocking parallel to Trump raising his fist after the failed assassination attempt at his campaign rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday to two notable Black figures during the Civil Rights Movement. After winning gold and bronze medals for their spectacular performances in the men's 200-meter race at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City, American track athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos raised gloved fists as they stood on that podium, Harper wrote. Hopefully Trump doesn't claim that his raised fist was an homage to Smith and Carlos, two powerful Black Americans. Candace McDuffie, The Root, love her. Candace does some great writing. He's terrific. So let's keep going, shall we? I want to see what others have to say about this. We'll stick with Candace. So the outrage was swift on X. Isaac Hayes III, you know that name, son of the great. He wrote, Dr. Shaun Harper, I'm going to need you to step to the front of the Black congregation and explain this asinine headline in your Forbes article, because this sounds stupid just reading it. Thank you, Isaac. Independent thinker, Isaac Hayes. Mayor, I'm going to stop there and get your assessment thus far on both the headline, the writer's articulation, all of it.
Listen, it goes back again to the lack of intimate relationship with Black people, the lack of diversity in the editorial board, the lack of the diversity in thought. The fact that if you'd have had any Black people connected to our community in that room, that message would have never, that headline would have never flown anywhere. But the decision makers don't have any ties. They're without ties to our community. I am so frustrated in this moment. All of everything since Saturday has me feeling like we're in a third dimension, one that does not include reality. Between the Black people on the stage at the RNC last night, this article, and Forbes of all, with all of the money that Forbes has, with all of the resources they have, the fact that this is the best they could come up with as for a headline, someone edited and workshopped this headline. This is what we got.
Yeah.
The idea that being shot is gonna make you connect to our community is absolutely disgusting. And furthermore, there's no oversized Black violence or relationship with gun violence. The leading people who die from gun deaths every year in this country are white men in suburbia.
Never mind the facts, Mayor. I mean, why are you giving us actual facts? This is a fictional feel-good piece from Mr. Harper. This is what he wanted to write. And there you go, interrupting us with facts.
Yeah, I mean, and it's tragic that people play games. And whenever I'm called by any of these major articles and I give them facts, the first they want to do is they want to ask me for a white source. I own more data on Black men than any organ in this country. Yet every time I'm asked about white sources. When you write a damn article about Black people, why don't you give Black sources? This is absolutely ridiculous that this is actually, the fact that it was ever put up, the fact that it's taken down now is embarrassing. It should have been forced to stay up so we could be reminded how stupid these people are.
And that's where I'm going next, Mayor, because there's a little bit more for you. Multiple social media users began criticizing this, as you might expect. They criticized the article in its headline, while Harper told the Post he felt the column had been widely misinterpreted. Now, the mayor just broke it down, Mr. Harper. It wasn't. As of Monday morning, the original URL for the article returns an error message on the Forbes site reading, "We can't find the page that you were looking for." Daily Beast contacted Forbes for the comment. Look, I don't mind so much that the media makes mistakes. I mind that they never admit it. I mind that they try to pretend things didn't happen when we all saw what you did. You're supposed to be a journalism organization. Why don't you explain yourself? If you really believe what you wrote, why don't you fight? Fight, as Donald Trump would say, fight for it. Why don't you fight? Why does it give an error message? And by the way, Mayor, you're also right. You are a brilliant man, and you're not alone in your brilliance and your Blackness. Am I supposed to go to a Black doctor only after a white one says they're qualified? Because that's what it feels like. That's kind of what it feels like you said here, that's how people treat you. Only when a white person comes down and anoints you as qualified and brilliant are you actually that. I'll give you the last word, Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this age-old question about when do Black people get to speak on behalf of Black people, and also how we fact check those who are so-called gatekeepers. We saw it in Van Jones' misinterpretation of Amber Rose's power in her speech, which Black people rightfully and accurately destroyed, and now we see it in the same thing with this gentleman with his. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, Van Jones. Van Jones. We get it, Van. You want to hold on. You want to gatekeep. I feel sorry for the grandpa. He's just a grandpa who got indicted for trying to steal an election. And why are you persecuting his grandpa? You mean Donald Trump, Van? That's what you're talking about? Yeah, he's just a grandpa. You're on the right network. Apparently, right now, you're on the right network until they pivot again. But whatever they do, it'll be based on profit projection, not the truth, not journalism. This is Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed alongside the Honorable Mayor of Enfield, North Carolina, Mondale Robinson. Love your voice, love your energy, Mayor. Much more to come. We're right back.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
Welcome back to Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed, in for Dr. Richie today, alongside the Honorable Mayor of Enfield, North Carolina, Mondale Robinson. Promise you an update on Doc. He's doing okay, but we do know many of you saw his recent post on social media. And Dr. Richie appreciates your well wishes. We want to let you know that he looks forward to returning. Again, Doc is on the mend, if you will. He'll be back to the show soon, and we wish him and everyone involved a strong recovery. Look forward to his return to Indisputable, because there's only one Doc, right? And we need him. Boy, do we need him. While Dr. Richie is recovering, I'll be right here, just doing my best to hold down the seat. But again, only one Doc, and he'll be back. Let's get to some of your comments right now, because you have a lot to say. Did you watch? Could you stomach it? Maybe you couldn't. I don't cast aspersions. If you watched, you watch. If you didn't or couldn't, that's okay too. That's what we're here for, to kind of give you a snapshot of what you missed. TYT members first. Love 18, WHTGRL. Can I get a birthday shout out from Sharon and Mayor Mondale? Well, you can. Happy birthday to you. I hope it's your best one yet. Mayor, since you're the honorable one, maybe the shout out should come from you.
Oh, no doubt. We definitely celebrate life. So happy birthday and keep on having them.
Yeah, many more to come. 36 Chambers Dragon, always loyal, always there. Appreciate your membership in the TYT community. Sharon and Mondale, two of the most beautiful smiles in the world. Mayor, you do have a good smile. It gives me good energy, because we're talking about some pretty dark stuff too. And then when I see, okay, the mayor's okay. He still has that beautiful, brilliant trademark smile. All the love from the mountains for you two, your families, and the TYT family. Thank you, 36 Chambers Dragon. Thank you for that. About Amber Rose, Lynn. Always count on you, Lynn. Think Amber needs some lessons on how to effectively research someone. I agree. I mean, we're beyond when I grew up. We had, the Britannica, those encyclopedias, okay? And you just, look that up, find some things. They give out new editions every year or so. Pee-wee Shuttle Pants has this to say. I think the extent of her research was 2 minutes reading a Fox News article. It could be. Amber, get off the Fox News site. Harpy says, Amber Rose's father is white. He is Michael Levenchuk. Thank you, Harpy. I see you've been investigating the Rose family. Listen, I think her initial instincts with her dad were right. No dad. But then somehow, maybe her dad gave her the articles to read. About CNN. Boy, this 36 Chambers Dragon says, let's just break down what this CEO is saying. I don't like rules. I want to do whatever I want, and I want more money. Yeah, that's about right. That's exactly what happened. I've heard this 30 years ago when my kindergarten teacher tore down a rich 6-year-old. Okay. Let's get you a couple more YouTube. C. Michael Henson, we appreciate you very much. Thank you for your contributions. I'm sorry, but I have to say this. Ms. Rose most likely got a research on a check. Yeah, I was wondering about that. So did many at this RNC. And at CNN, shameful. It's true. $2 too. Thank you for your contribution. Oh, Mo Weems first wants to know why was Candace Owens missing? I don't know, but can we not talk her up? We had enough on the stage. Maybe her check wasn't large enough. The budget didn't want to increase it this year. Or maybe she's a surprise for another day, her and 50 Cent. I don't know. $2 says, love Doc when he's on, but nothing beats seeing the beautiful face of Miss Sharon Reed delivering the truth. I didn't know. I just read it cold. Okay, that's not me. But I do think we're probably related and told her to put that in there. All right, we're going to move on now because already it's been an incredible show. Appreciate you staying with us. I actually, when I looked out at the crowd at the RNC, I said, well, this is a production put on. It seems like Vince McMahon had something to do with this. Okay. The characters, the dark, all that was missing was those little short shorts and that one move where they come down and like, I can't really duplicate it, but it's like, it's gotta hurt. Okay, maybe it's a backbreaker. Is it a backbreaker, Mayor? Is that what they call it? And they come down like that and they kind of bounce up a little bit. And I said, oh my goodness, someone's back is completely broken. But the other thing I noted was, I guarantee this audience is filled with, yes, politicians, but also you know who. She has got to be loving this, or he. Okay, it's filled. It's a whole Milwaukee's being overrun by him. So maybe the rest of us in other places will get a break. I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on him for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. Go on.
Come here, you gotta... Look at you, black.
Wait, throw it again. Throw it.
Stop it.
Throw it.
Come here.
Throw the punch in, brother.
Come on, throw it, black bastard.
Throw the punch.
Women on the floor. Put the women on the floor.
Throw the punch.
Come here, then, you black...
No. Stop it. Why are you filming it?
What the hell is going on here? Okay. A racist male Karen football fan and his bird try to attack a black man. Say what now? Incident occurred in Norwich, England. According to the uploader who described the encounter, quote, the Stella brings out the fighting skills and racism in all us Brits. Well, now I'm really not going across the pond. The food, not that good. That's what I heard. Okay. The pints are warm. Who wants a warm pint? And now I got to put up with this guy and his bird. They're everywhere. Nothing can change that. I don't even really want to pose this to you, Mayor, because you obviously have a big job. You wear many hats. You have serious work that you're doing. Then we have Birdman across the pond attacking a black man. And you got the nerve to say the beer made you do it. Go, Mayor, go.
Come here, you black bastard. It was the swing and the hairline matching the swing was everything for me. It's like, did the wind do that from the punch, or is that like his natural hairdo? Absolutely disgusting. And I love how people think that we are stuck in 1700s where blackness, calling me black, is something bad. They don't understand blackness is part of my superpower. The idea that you see my blackness and you try to belittle me by reminding me that I'm black does nothing but remind me of how resilient my people are. And in the face of stupidity and people with bad right hooks, I still stand.
We stand on our blackness. You messing around with a bird, attacking people. Okay? Black is beautiful. You and a bird. You and a bird, fool. Swinging and there's all kind of foolishness. Yes, I love being black. You? Leave you with your bird. Do got to show you this next one. A Delaware cop arrests a black teen. What did this teen do to deserve this? I'll tell you. Walking on the street, watch.
Why are you stopping me?
Stop.
What you stopping me for? For what? What are you trying to detain me for?
Stop walking.
What you trying to detain me for?
All right.
Tell me, tell her. What y'all trying to detain me for?
Right now we're stopping you for a pedestrian violation. All right. You guys got IDs on you?
Pedestrian violation of what?
Do you have ID on you?
Pedestrian ID.
All right, turn around, put your hands behind your back.
No, buck him. No, buck him. No.
Stop. No.
Chill. Hands on me, bro. What are you touching me? Stop. I'm telling about putting your hands on me, bro. Put your hands on the back. Hey, bullshit my thing. My God, boom, my. Oh, bro, my mom.
You got anything on you?
Nah, why? What am I being searched for?
Right now you're being detained, but you're uncooperating.
Of what? Traffic? How am I being a traffic stop? I'm not in the vehicle, sir.
It's called a pedestrian stop.
Of what? What is the pedestrian
You want to
stop
shut the up and let me explain it to you?
What is the pedestrian
You want to
stop?
shut up and let me explain it to you? You crossed the road without using a crosswalk.
Oh, all right. All right.
That's what you're stopped for right now.
All right.
What's your name? So I need your name now.
My name. That's all right. Why you? Yeah.
Apparently, this department in Delaware needs Homeland Security to help support their efforts here. They got a lot of crime on there. Can we have backup from the feds? Black 17-year-old from Dunleath, Delaware, a suburb of Wilmington in Newcastle County, was left baffled by his June arrest for jaywalking. While a judge dismissed the charges, his mother, Paula Wright, believes the police should never have detained him. In an interview with Delaware Online, Wright criticized the local police, calling them unhinged, describing them as the biggest gang in Delaware. Go, mama, go. Let's just say it all out loud. Let's just get it all on the table. Thank you, Paula, Miss Wright. According to reports underscored by video footage captured by the team, the incident occurred in the afternoon on June 8th, when Wright's son was walking with a group of friends in the Dunleath community. The recording shows the moment an officer pulls up and exits his car to engage the group, and a back and forth ensues. And a Black Star with the details, appreciate them. Before long, the teen is put in cuffs. What am I being searched for? The teen asked while being handcuffed. Right now, you're being detained because you are uncooperating with a traffic stop, the officer answers. How am I being a traffic stop? I'm not in a vehicle, sir, the teen asks. It's called a pedestrian stop, the officer responds. I mean, everybody knows that. Duh. Are you for real? They gave you a badge and a gun? When the teen asks for clarity again on what a pedestrian stop is, the officer forcefully replies, you want to shut the F up? Let me explain it to you. You crossed the road without using the crosswalk. That's a crime. Okay, I added that's a crime part, but I mean, they detained him for it. They gave him a ticket. So, I mean, that's what he was saying. That was what was in his head. To this, the teen replies, oh, all right. And the officer asks for the teen's name, and the teen replies, but the video is bleeped out, so it's unclear what he says. Shortly after the video ends, according to the teen, the officer stopped the recording. I'm inclined to believe the teenager. Normally, I'd say when teenagers open their mouths, you got to question it. You got to trust but verify. I'm inclined to believe the teenager on this one. Teen, who was the only one in the group to get a ticket for jaywalking, said he was so inquisitive because he's interested in law. Honestly, I just wanted to know, he told Delaware Online. Good for you. Also told his mother the officer began questioning him about his brother, who has a criminal history, and saying he hadn't seen him in a long time. Now we see what's going on here. I don't understand if he thought it was going to get me angry or what he thought it was going to possibly do, the teen said in an interview about the officer's comments. I don't know. I'm still in shock about it. Wright believes her son was targeted. They're singling out my son because of who his brother is, she said. If they were not singling my son out because of who his brother is, my son would not have been the only one to receive a citation for jaywalking. However, police officials said the officer recognized the name from a previous encounter with the brother, and he was only making small talk. That's a lie right there. Now I know the teen's telling the truth. That's a lie. You targeted him, didn't you? My opinion, as an individual. Police spokesperson also said the officers were justified in their reasoning for stopping the teens. Shortly after this, the officers witnessed the same group run across Newcastle Avenue without utilizing a proper crosswalk, said Senior Corporal Richard Chambers. Again, I'm telling you, they need to call in the feds. They need extra support here. Newcastle County, Delaware. I know the area. Ain't nothing going on there but the mall. I'm trying to tell you. I know this area. Okay, I'm not going to tell you how I know because then you start attacking people I know. But this is crazy. While crossing the road, one of the individuals was observed running recklessly through active traffic, nearly causing an accident. No, sir. No. Most notably, the spokesperson said that one of the teens was seen gripping his waistband as though, here we go, he had a weapon. That was falling from his pants, but the official did not specify if that person was Wright's son. Additionally, 2 subjects were wearing hooded sweatshirts with the hoods up. What on earth? What are you doing? Huh? Chambers continued to explain the officers' suspicions. Officers observed this to be odd, as it was approximately 80 degrees. What's odd is you're stopping a group of teenagers for jaywalking, allegedly. That's odd. As for why Wright's son was the only teen in the group arrested, the officer did not see them run through traffic in the same reckless manner as the teen who was arrested. Chambers said that too. The charge was dropped during the June 25th hearing. Mayor, I apologize. I'm trying to be somewhat professional, but it's making me laugh out loud. You got an answer for everything. You're threading a needle. You're twisting in a pretzel, downward dog, yoga position. What on earth are they talking about here, Mayor? They stopped him. They targeted him, and his mother's right.
Yeah, they're talking about nothing. They're trying to justify racial profiling, period. Let's be clear. All of these other things, we saw somebody gripping them. I can touch my waist. You can't touch your waist anymore. If you're Black and a teenager, you can't. You can't wear a hoodie. I'm amazed at how many Black people with hoods on get stopped, but the Klan members are never arrested or stopped. And as Donald Trump said, it's good people on both sides. Clearly that both sides don't include us. The idea that you stopped, this child had more patience and wherewithal to keep the situation calm than the officer says a lot about their training in Delaware. I'm absolutely disgusted that this child had to go through this. He snatched this child up and continued to escalate even when this child simply was asking questions. Why not just answer the question and tell the child that you're being a... Yeah. Because you are. I'm so frustrated because in so many cases, this could have been a different story. This child is in the age range of Mike Brown and so many other, Emmett Till, and so many other Black people, Trayvon Martin, so many Black boys that died for doing nothing other than being Black and young. And while the mother has already made an excuse, while they're profiling, it does not give an officer a right to check me because my brother did something. That is an excuse where Black people are being held accountable for everybody Black when white people get to live free and just be themselves in America. And this Delaware officer should be fired, and the judge should have reprimanded everybody in the courtroom associated with that police department for this entire situation. And all of these excuses lets me know that the blue wall is real in this town in Delaware.
Apologize for the technical delay, Mayor. I just apparently took a forced break in the middle of the segment. But I think you're exactly right. I am I think it's disgraceful. I think it's disgraceful that this police force in Newcastle County doesn't have more legitimate work to do, okay? They don't have a bit of work to do except bother a young Black kid. Hell, help some squirrels find some nuts, okay? Make some better use of your time instead of harassing the public. I'll give you the last word, Mayor.
Yeah, I think people might see this just as, oh, well, and we know what the internet's gonna say, well, he did jaywalk. Name a situation that you can cite where this happened to a white kid for jaywalking. This is not about jaywalking. And the officer could have simply rolled his window down and said, hey, cross the road in a crosswalk. Be careful, you could get hit. That could have been required in the end of that situation. How are you building goodwill with community? How are you showing up in a space where you can assist the community and they're gonna trust you when you treat a 14-year-old like this? I think Sharon volume is out, and I think what she's probably saying while her volume is out is absolutely correct, that goodwill could be fostered if this damn officer would have minded his business and kept going, probably find a friendly squirrel to help out. This is my problem when officers, show up and then people take pictures of them playing basketball with neighborhoods or doing whatever. What we're gonna do right now is we're gonna take a break. This is indisputable. Stick and stay. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Dr. Richie has the day off. I'm Sharon Reed alongside the mayor of Enfield, North Carolina, Mondale Robinson. Always a treat to have Mayor on. Appreciate you, Mayor. And you're bringing in some good support, financial support for us. L. Allen, thank you for your contribution. Earmark says, because of you, Mayor, because of you. See, Michael Henson, again, we appreciate you as well. I didn't know that Zangief from the video game called Street Fighter was a racist male Karen. Now we all know. See, Michael Henson, that's what a swing and miss reminded me of. Think you're right. New YouTube members, let's give a welcome to Exevious Hound, Barbara Albert, welcome to Indisputable. Progressive Boomer, member for 19 months, we appreciate you. As we said, Doc is on the mend. We're holding down the fort for him. He appreciates you all. So thank you for wishing Doc the best as well, Progressive Boomer. So while we were distracted with Amber Rose and those other people who were speaking at the Republican convention, as I told you, it appeared that we'll call it Black Night at the RNC, okay? The Republican National Convention. A lot of Black people spoke, including Amber Rose. I know people who were frustrated because they couldn't read the tattoo. What does it say? If you know, send us some communication about that. While folks were distracted with Donald Trump, whose ear was heavily bandaged as he recovers from the assassination attempt, Democrats may be still moving quietly. Pelosi is quietly working to get Biden off the Democratic ticket, so it's still going on. For Politico, for nearly a decade, Donald Trump unified Democrats and sowed division in his own party. But now, as the GOP convenes to nominate Trump for a third consecutive election, this dynamic has shifted. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is quietly working to remove President Joe Biden from the Democratic ticket after his abysmal debate performance last month. She's moving quietly. And it was just last week when Pelosi appeared on MSNBC's Morning Joe, delicately.
Does he have your support to be the head of the Democratic ticket?
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short. I think overwhelming support of the caucus. It's not for me to say. I'm not the head of the caucus anymore, but he's beloved. He is respected, and people want him to make that decision. Not me.
He has said he has made the decision. He has said firmly this week he is going to run. Do you want him to run?
I want him to do whatever he decides to do, and that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with.
So it was an unforgettable interview, an SNL sketch, if you will. Nancy Pelosi speaking to Jonathan Lanier, MSNBC. He said he's going to run. I want him to do what he wants to do, but I'd like him to make a decision. He said he's decided, and we support him making a decision. Blah, 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 blah. Nancy Pelosi. Worth taking a step back to consider this extraordinary moment. Biden's own congressional allies are attempting to oust him from their ticket, and the backstage campaign has been orchestrated in part by the most successful legislator of the era, President's longtime ally, the person he called my Catholic sister. Politico. Pelosi convinced Biden will lose, has been working the phone since June 27th in the hopes of finding a way to ease him off the ticket. One of her colleagues was struck to see her chatting fervently, but openly with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries last week in a corner of the House Democratic cloakroom in plain sight of a dozen lawmakers. Not even trying to hide it. This is what she's doing. Is she still the minority speaker, by the way? I thought Hakeem Jeffries was, but it seems she's calling the shots. Well, the extent of Pelosi's behind-the-scenes role hasn't been fully revealed, may never be if the former speaker has her way. But Politico has been told by people familiar with the exchanges that she has staged, managed phone calls to Jeffries, plotted strategy with the biggest names in Democratic politics, and told one former elected official bluntly that Biden's legacy cannot be destroying their party. Of course, that was all before the historic events of the weekend. Politico notes the GOP's transformation into the party of Trump was nearly complete after he faced no serious primary challenges. It was cemented, though, in Butler, Pennsylvania, when Trump escaped death and immediately rallied his stunned audience, forging a rare bond with his supporters. This moment positioned Trump to stifle any remaining intra-party dissent. Furthermore, Trump hasn't just taken over the Republican Party, he has also significantly impacted the Democratic Party. Since 2017, Democrats have owned almost most of their electoral success to a backlash against Trump and Trumpism. The former president birthed and bred a seersucker to socialist opposition that endured because enough Bush Republicans, card-carrying DSA members, and Americans in between found consensus on a single issue. President Joe Biden, too, owes his late career success to this coalition. Meanwhile, Democrats hoping that President Biden will drop out of the election race fear their chance of replacing him on the ticket is all but gone in the wake of the assassination attempt on Trump. After 2 weeks of intense media scrutiny around if and when Biden would drop out, attention has now shifted to the attack on Trump at his rally in Pennsylvania and the Republican National Convention. I think this is over, one Democratic aide told Politico, arguing that the news storm weakening Biden had now passed. Daily Beast with that. Axios separately reported that Democratic lawmakers' immediate focus had moved to their personal security and safety of their staffers rather than the party's political crisis. We're all just focused on expressing condolences and keeping our team safe, one House Democrat described as having been fiercely critical of Biden told the outlet. Additionally, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders officially put his foot down against Biden's naysayers in a New York Times op-ed published Saturday. Sanders said he has had enough of his party's public infighting over Biden's viability, and that too many Democrats have joined that circular firing squad. Sanders urged his fellow Democrats learn a lesson from the progressive and centrist forces in France, who, despite profound political differences, came together this week to soundly defeat right-wing extremism. Sanders writes that there are a number of areas in which he disagrees with President Biden, including the handling of the Israel-Gaza war, healthcare too. But despite their disagreements, Sanders writes Biden has been the most effective president in the modern history of our country and is the strongest candidate to defeat Donald Trump. And yes, Sanders wrote, Mr. Biden is old, prone to gaffes, walks stiffly, and had a disastrous debate with Mr. Trump. Yet he added, the presidential election is not an entertainment contest. It does not begin or end with a 90-minute debate. Daily Beast. So Pelosi's up to some things. She's apparently calling the shots here. She is the one who's bringing people together. Is she also talking to the donors, I wonder? Is she coordinating with them? Hakeem Jeffries, is he just the front man? He's talented. I'm just asking. I don't quite know what to make of this. I mean, I know what's being reported, Mayor, but can you weave it all together for us? Give us a broader context?
Yeah, the broader context is Democrats damn sure know how to lose an election. You would have never seen, you would never hear, regardless of how much trouble and lies and dumbness Trump showed in any performance, we never see Republicans show up like this. Let's be clear. First of all, Nancy Pelosi represents the 11th district in California, is absolutely a majority white district in a state where you don't really see that often. Majority white people are 1.3 or 1.4% more likely to be in her district than any other race. And then it's Asian, then it's Latinx, and it's one of the richest districts in this country. She's not speaking on behalf of Americans that are struggling. And Biden made a great point, again, on this interview with Lester Holt last night when he said, 14 million people voted for him. The people that are calling for Biden to step down don't represent the Democratic majority. White people aren't overwhelmingly, actually, the majority of white people don't vote for Democrats. And they haven't since Democrats allowed Black people to be seated at the convention in '68. So this idea that you have these wealthy white people trying to force a candidate that won the Democratic primary and also that is actually basically supported by the Black majority, which is the base of the party, is absolutely disgusting, and it shows what's wrong with our politics. Nancy Pelosi and the likes at CNN will be damn happy if Biden was out of this election. But I promise you, as a Black person who's doing political work and been doing it for 20 plus years, there's no pathway to victory by switching candidates right now on the left side. It's just not gonna happen.
And I trust you, because what you're saying makes sense, by the way. I'd trust you even if I didn't fully understand it. But what you just said makes perfect sense. It's weird, this flip, right? Although I don't believe it's a complete flip, this disenfranchising of voters because you placed whatever candidate you wanted at the front. You rigged it last time against Bernie Sanders. I don't want to go backwards, though. I don't want to moonwalk all the way back there. I'm just saying that we did it your way. We chose what we chose. And now you want to pull the rug out from under that, too. Really? Okay, Bernie Sanders, I think, in this case, has it right. And by the way, someone who's been prone to gaffes their whole political career, 40, 50 years, Joe Biden has been at this thing as young senator who faced tragedy and still came back to the Hill. He's quirky a little bit, right? He's older, things are going on. I mean, Bernie Sanders sat and he had those mittens on, okay? Was that leader-like? It's not an entertainment show. It's about policies and who says what. Something else Isaac Hayes III said, because we had him earlier on this election and everything that's going on. I'm voting against Project 2025. That's what he put on his Instagram. He didn't want to hear anything about which candidates. He's voting in his interest, and that's not in his interest. And maybe we can take a lesson from that, Mayor. I'll give you the last word before we go to break.
Listen, I think that's right. And people can say and feel how they want to about Agitate Third. That is a powerful statement. Black people and people in general don't and shouldn't be voting for candidates. Personalities are not the reason you should vote. You should be voting for what's at your interest. And for people that are not wealthy and ultra wealthy, and people whose kids are educated by the public school system, and people who have faith in the federal government, you cannot support a candidate where 105 of his fellow or former aides wrote Project 2025. If you are a Black person talking to me about Trump, I want to know what your stance is on Project 2025 and how you plan on educating all the Black kids in your family and those that are to come. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous is right. Let's get it together. But something that you said, I'm going to repeat it again before we go to break. There's no path to victory if you try to do this. There's no path to victory if you try to take him off the ticket. This is Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, Sharon Reed, Mondale Robinson, the Honorable Mayor of Bentonville, North Carolina, filling in for Dr. Day. We're right back.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Dr. Ritchie has a day off. The mayor of Bentonville, North Carolina, Mondale Robinson, joins us, filling in today as our special guest co-host. What are you up to these days, Mayor? I know you're always busy, but I like the up to the minute update.
Yeah, right now we're launching canvas programs, meaning going door to door to talk to Black men in Michigan and Pennsylvania. So we have, a lot of work, significant amount of work to do in those 2 areas, and we're working busy at it.
Well, we know that you'll get it done because you always get it done. You're always there, and the Democratic Party better listen to you too. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel, okay? It's not gonna work out. TYT members, Lynn has this to say about Pelosi, former speaker, quietly working to get Joe Biden off the ticket. I wish Pelosi would have put that same energy into removing Dianne Feinstein. Well, you make a point. Amihan, I will vote for Biden if he's the only choice because we will not survive Trump. The instructor gifted 5 indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie memberships. We appreciate you. Snack Panther gifted 5 indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie memberships. Appreciate all of our TYT community. Can't exist without you. Wouldn't want to anyway. Let's give you an update now. The police chief who hired Tamir Rice's shooter resigns. Put it all on the line for this. In an update, DS Tubert, we don't have a picture. DS Tubert voluntarily resigned as chief of the White Sulphur Springs Police Department, demoted himself to a patrolman after facing a heap of criticism for the hire of Timothy Lohman. There he is. Former Cleveland officer was accused of pulling up on 12-year-old Tamir Rice, on the right there, sweet-faced little boy, November 22nd, 2014, after responding to a complaint of someone pointing a gun at people in the park. Within moments of exiting the patrol car, 1.8 seconds. I remember this. Lohman fired at Rice, killing him. Authorities confirmed later the boy was holding a replica toy gun, something the 911 caller suspected and said to the dispatcher. Probably just a kid with a toy gun, just wanted to let you know. 2020, the ex-cop escaped federal charges in connection to the shooting, though Lohman was still in between jobs after being fired from the Cleveland Police Department in May 2017 for lying about his employment history per CNN. That was back when they were doing straight reporting. He hopped over to an Ohio Village Police Department before withdrawing his application due to criticism. Then, after being sworn in as a Cuyahoga officer in 2022, Lohman left one shift later due to backlash per the AP. Now, the Root giving us the timeline here. According to a statement from Mayor Kathy Glover, former Chief Tubert then requested Lohman work at the White Sulphur Springs PD as a probationary officer. That was on July 1. Her excuse for allowing the recommendation to go through, quote, I did not know who he was, and I did not have all the information that should have been given. It was something we were unaware of and not prepared for all the way around, said Glover in a fiery town council meeting Monday night. Well, Ms. Glover, I can't support you if I'm a member of the public. You don't have Google. You don't even need Google. I have on this thing, I could just say, hey, Siri. And this annoying voice comes on and tells me everything I want to know. Sure does. Didn't you want to know why you were being asked about this? Nobody Googled? Siri's going to give you the answer. Now, following another wave of anger and outrage, Lohman resigned last week, and so did the chief. Well, he demoted himself. He still got a job and benefits. Isn't that cute? Tubert announced his decision to step down from chief to his previous role as a patrolman. Department wasted no time filling the spot either. Deputy Chief Julian R. Byer Jr. was promoted as chief Wednesday, the mayor said. He also vowed to ensure this type of situation doesn't happen again. Some city council members suggested the creation of a safety review board for an extra layer of accountability. You don't need to create any board. You don't need to create anything. You need to do your job so you don't lose your job. You're about to lose your job. Do your job, okay? You don't know who this guy is or why you're being asked? Am I being too hard on White Sulphur and the politicians and the former chief here, Mayor? Because I don't understand what's so hard. Now we got to create a task force, a board, and then a review of that. And then we'll have another layer and more. We just want more in order to get a simple job done. Is he qualified or not? If a barber went and gave people a close shave and everybody who came out the barbershop had cuts and scrapes all on their face, would the barber then get a job at the next place? I don't think so. But that's just me. What do you say, Mayor?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, like there's some serious questions that need to happen. It also does not make me feel comfortable that a police department is telling me that they didn't know who this person was. What kind of background checks you all are doing? And furthermore, what information is being put on police officers' record who shoot and kill people, and in this case, kids with toys on playgrounds? How is that not a red flag as soon as you run his name in whatever police data background check you did. How is that not known? Why isn't it stamped all over his record? I'm questioning the system. I'm questioning this department, and everybody in that township or city should be absolutely alarmed that they didn't know who he was. And every day should not be on the police department tomorrow.
Yeah. But you see the killing of this Black child, other people. I told you, I've spoken on the show before. Officer Simone, Cleveland veteran, bragged about killing a lot of people in the line of duty. Everyone was justified. But he killed a lot of people. I can look it up for you right now when I say a lot, okay? Some officers never fire their service weapon. And I believe Officer Simone retired from Cleveland Police Department, then he went to a neighboring jurisdiction too. I want to know who's on the force protecting and serving me. And that the mayor, and now she's promoted the deputy chief, might want to clean house. You might want to clean house. A trucker now. A trucker saves a 1-year-old abandoned amid storm barrel. Look at that cute face. Per CNN and local reports, truck driver Reginald Walton found 1-year-old King Trail Jack alive in a ditch off the Interstate 10 highway in Louisiana this week. That was the day after the child's 4-year-old brother, Legend Jack, was found dead near the same freeway in what investigators think was a case of abandonment around the time tropical storm conditions hit the area. Oh, that's sweet. Walton, meanwhile, told Caden, he didn't feel like he was a hero. I just feel it was God's will for me to be in the right place at the right time. Walton was driving on I-10 when he saw something to the right over in the embankment. He told CNN affiliate KADN, adding that he assumed it was a doll that someone had tossed out of a vehicle. But as I was passing by, I saw it move. I said, hey, that looks like a baby. Walton of Texas told the outlet. Walton was traveling 60 to 75 miles per hour. It took him about a quarter of a mile to stop the truck, he said. He called 911, stopped the truck, ran back. He told KADN, sure enough, there was a little boy sitting down the embankment there. As I approached him, he smiled at me. And then he stood up and started crying and walked toward me, Walton said. Calcasieu Parish Sheriff Stitch Guillory of Louisiana said he believes the 1-year-old spent 2 days along the Interstate 10, including while Hurricane Beryl or its weaker iterations battered the western Gulf Coast region. Though Guillory has not said whether investigators know precisely when the siblings were left. He praised Walton for seeing the child and stopping to pick him up Tuesday. We looked at this 1-year-old as our miracle baby because he was still alive. This kid spent 2 days out in the weather on the side of the highway. Thank God that trucker saw him. Investigation began Monday afternoon when the 4-year-old brother's body was found floating in water behind a rest stop off I-10 in western Louisiana. Calcasieu Parish, just across the Texas state line, sheriff officials said. No cause of death was immediately announced. That day, Beryl made landfall in Texas as a hurricane and weakened to a tropical storm, tropical depression, as it impacted Louisiana, dropping rain, delivering wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour to the parish. Children's mother, 25-year-old Aaliyah Jack of Lake Charles, Louisiana, has been arrested in Mississippi and faces murder and other charges, accused of abandoning the children in Louisiana. Detective eventually learned the 4-year-old had last been seen on Saturday with his mother and his 1-year-old brother. Police in Meridian, Mississippi then found Jack without the 1-year-old, and she was arrested there initially on suspicion of failing to report a missing child. On Tuesday morning, the 1-year-old turned up alive along I-10 back in Louisiana. The 1-year-old was found near mile marker 10, about 9 miles from the rest stop where his brother had been found dead the day before. Investigators, deputies identified the boy as Jack's 1-year-old son. He was taken to the hospital, later released to the State Department of Children and Family Services. Sheriff's Office spokesperson Kayla Vinson told CNN, On Thursday, Jack, still in custody in Mississippi, was charged in Louisiana with second-degree murder, cruelty to a juvenile, and 2 counts of failure to report a missing child, the sheriff's department said. It's unknown if she has an attorney. Consuela Jack, Aaliyah Jack's mother and grandmother to the children, told CNN the last time she saw the kids was Saturday at her mother's funeral, after which her daughter took them. Consuela Jack said she and her daughter had an agreement in which the grandmother would generally take care of the 2 boys, but Aaliyah Jack was free to see them whenever she wanted. Consuela learned of her 4-year-old grandson. I can't, but the pictures are just so beautiful. Consuela learned of her 4-year-old grandson's death on Tuesday from his paternal grandmother, followed by confirmation from a detective. She does not know the circumstances leading to the child's death or how her 1-year-old grandson ended up on the side of the road, she told CNN. I know at this moment, I just want my grandbaby back. Yeah. Consuela, who was living in Houston when she heard the news, has since relocated to Lake Charles. She has been calling Child Protective Services daily for updates on her surviving grandson. I don't know what to think. I buried my mother on Saturday, and now I learned this, she said, describing her 4-year-old grandson as an awesome kid. She expressed sorrow, apologized to her late grandson. As of Thursday, she had not spoken with her daughter to learn what happened and hopes to be reunited with her surviving grandson soon. Mayor, this is a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching story.
Yeah.
We can't imagine. You're outside in the elements. Your mother's not with you. No one's with you. Your older brother, your 4-year-old brother dies. Thank goodness the trucker saw him.
This is too much harm, tragedy for one family or anybody to have to live through. I think just thinking what could have happened if that trucker was looking just at that moment in a different direction and not seeing that child. Also 9 miles in between where his brother was found. Did this little child walk 9 miles in that time? It's so many questions, so many thoughts that I'm afraid to think about because it's just saddening for sure.
Yeah, it is. And my mind kept racing. I wish that 4-year-old would have been able to find a safe hand, safe eyes. What people do to children. In this case, it appears abandoned. I am just heartbroken. Let's hope the grandmother, who seems well-meaning, seems to love her children, her grandbabies, is reunited, and somehow the family can heal from this, because it is sick to think about. It is absolutely sick to think about. Mayor, tell people where they can find you and follow your good work.
Yeah, so Mondale Robinson on all social media and at Rebel HQ. Also, you can find me at anywhere you see Black Male Voter Project on social media.
Any plans to go across the pond where we saw that ridiculous Karen, the bird, harassing a Black man? I can't even reenact it, and I can't wrap my head around it, Mayor. Why?
Yeah, I mean, whiteness is a dangerous drug.
It's a dangerous drug. Unchecked. You're supposed to get those checkups every now and then. See, is the medicine working? Is everything okay? Not okay. It's not okay. Mayor Mondale Robinson, Enfield, North Carolina, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing your time with us, breaking away from your busy schedule. Always a favorite of ours. I'm Sharon Reed, and for Dr. Richie today, again, Doc is on the mend, and we hope you'll join us again. We appreciate our TYT community. This is Indisputable. We'll see you next time.